Hi everyone, this is Dave at Media Digitronics. What I wanted to do in this video is show you briefly how you can increase your digital library that you can use in your layouts using textures. Now Karen has a great tutorial over on her site that she used these textures of hers in Photoshop, and I wanted to show you how you go about using these things if you employ the character or the features of ScrapPage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new project here, and it's going to be a picture project. I'm going to select this, and I'll tell you this is just a smear of different colors on a paper that are on a page that I put together in Photoshop. It just no rhyme or reason to it. I just brought a bunch of colors and smeared them around. Okay, so what I want to do then is take this background here and texturize it to get a more interesting page background that you could use for a layout. So the thing I want to do first is I want to select it, and I'm going to go under Edit and Artistic, and under Artistic there's an option for to texturize the image, and that gives you the option of getting a texture. Now ScrapPage always opens up to its default folder of textures, the ones that come with the program, but you can choose any others you want. So I'll go up in here to my Dropbox folder, and here I happen to have some Snickerdoodle design textures, and what I'll do is I'll pick this one. You can pick any of these, but let's start with this one and see how it works. Alright, so there, now we've got a nice background texture very quickly just by taking one of Karen's textures and overlaying it on top of that muddy colored background thing that I made in Photoshop. Now the other thing you can do here real quickly is if I wanted, I can change the look and feel of this pretty quickly. I can lighten it, for instance, and it would look like that, or I can use a dark and it would give me that appearance, or I could also use a bold and I would get that appearance. Now you can go with whichever one you like, of course, so there's lots of different options of what you could do here. The other thing you can do in ScrapPage pretty easily is I can overlay different textures, multiple textures that is. So if I wanted to, I could go in here and let's take this thing just back to its regular, to normal. All right, so there's what we started with. Now if I go in and I say, hey, I'm going to go down here to Edit, Artistic, and Texturize again. Now I could choose one of the standard images, or one of the standard textures rather, that comes with ScrapPage. Let's take this burlap hard, for instance. Okay, so there you can see it right there. I put a burlap type of a texture on this thing, and it worked very well. I can also then restore the previous if I decided I didn't like that. Go in here and get a texturize, get a different texture than that one. Maybe we'll take something like patches 2. That it would give it a real hard denim kind of look. So that would you would see that what you would get with that. Of course, you can always restore what you had previously, and if you want to, you can then go in here and change anything else you'd like to do. So anyway, that just shows you how you can build a paper very quickly, a background paper very quickly. If I were to restore my original image and say, hey, I'm going to go get a completely different texture, I can again go get any of the textures that come with it, but I could also, as I mentioned, go up here to get third-party textures, in this case from Snickerdoodle. And let's say, I think Karen used this one in her example, so let's open it up and see what that looked like. Just like that, you would get that. And if you went in here to texturize and turn to light, that's equivalent, by the way, of Photoshop screen mode. What you get is that. So that shows you real quickly how you can build, almost a limitless number of background papers using textures and do it very quickly. I did it with a single initial or original background, that being this thing here. You could make as many or as few of these as you liked. For instance, if I wanted, I could say, hey, how about I just pick something that's more of just a different color scheme, something that looks like this. Okay, I can take that then and I can say, all right, fine, I'll go in and see what I can do with that. If I go and let's go get that same texture we just used and see how that looks. Not all textures turn out to be the same, by the way. You sometimes have to play around with these things to get what you really want. But let's pick this one again and see how it turns out if we apply it. All right, so it's computing in there. It applied it. It's a little bit dark. You might not want that, but we can always, like I say, we can always go in here and lighten it up to something that would then look like is done computing here or there. Now you might like that for your background. Okay, so as you can see, you can get a wide array of different digital designs pretty quickly using textures with just about any background, kind of a color scheme that you'd want. The other thing I wanted to mention is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start another picture project, because one other thing that ScrapPage does, and if I pick from my design elements here, I'm just going to pick this flower. All right, if I open this flower up, now I can apply textures to that. And if I do, let me select it first, and I'll go in here under Edit Artistic and apply a texture. And I'm just going to stick with the textures that come. I'll try this woven 3. Okay, this is one of the standard textures that come in ScrapPage. All right, so you can see that it gave it this kind of a almost a material type look to that flower real quick. Now you can then go in here and you can save this thing, and if you wanted to, up here where we got it from in my I think I had it here in Design Elements. I could save this as Flower 1, and if I wanted to, I could say Fabric, right, and change it to that until I find I've saved it as a fabric now. All right, so you can do this for just about any old picture you have, any ping that that is a ping of a flower. Let's take that one there and say, fine, let's do it again. I'll go in here again and get my texture tool, and when I go get a texture this time, instead of woven 3, let's try woven 2 and see what happens. All right, so you get that. Now we'll go in here and we'll say that one is a ping. We can go down here and call it Flower 2 Fabric and save it, and we'll do one more while we're at it here. I'll just go get another flower. What do I have here that I can use? How about this one here, Flower 3? All right, so we'll bring it in. And for this one, let's go in and just add under Edit, Artistic, and Texturize Image. This time we'll just go in and use Woven 1. Okay, and we'll apply that. Okay, so you can see it takes on another different style of a texture. And again, once, as we did before, we'll save this one as Flower 03 dash Fabric. And save it. So real quickly then, we managed to put together a few more design elements that can be used just using flowers. You could do this with any object that you had and apply any texture that you want to that object. It doesn't have to be a ping. They tend to work nicer if they're pings, if you're going to be using them for future work, but or for future layouts. But how you would use them, of course, in a layout then is if we went to a color background and we said, give us a square. This would be a 12 by 12. And we just wanted to add some pictures. Now we'd go in here and we'd find those flowers that we just did. Flower Fabric 1, Flower Fabric 2, and Flower Fabric 3. And we'd bring them in. And just like that, now we have our newly designed digital objects that we can use and make any kind of use of them that you want. If you wanted this just to be sort of a little down in the corner type of a cluster that you wanted to make, you could do that just by zooming them, rotating them however you want. Send this one, for instance, to the back, and then they would all stack up like, I'll bring this one to the front and bring that one to the front, so they all stack up nicely. You could go in and you could shadow any of them that you wanted to do, just like you could do with any other object in ScrapPage. So we give that one a shadow, and we tell this one here we want it to match to the style of the previous, and we'll match this one to the style of the previous. And there, you can then move these around to your liking, anywhere you'd like them to be. So that's the way you can really improve the amount of digital objects you have to play with by using textures that are available from certainly from Karen at Snickerdoodle. And then you could take these along with your kit elements or other photos that you have, and you could really vastly expand your array of digital objects. So until the next time, this is Dave at Media Digitronics. Goodbye.